Hello everybody and welcome back to another highlights of Timberborn. And we've managed to hit double digits, which is very exciting on this permadeath hard challenge. All should know the rules by now. We have one source of water that we can only take by, 130 days drought, bad water, can't sacrifice beavers, and 5 to 10 days of good water. And on this episode, we got hit with the drought straight away, but it wasn't that scary. It was only 48 days. We've had longer than that, but out of proportion, we did stop the birthing pods. And I kind of want to get this colony to a place where we don't need to do that anymore. And part of doing that is we need food. We also need beavers to build all of these massive mega projects that we're going on right now. And I need to up the difficulty for myself a little bit more by getting more colonies, getting more districts, and getting more beavers. On this one, we did open Metal District, which is at the top right corner, which we were focusing on the previous episode. And this episode is totally focused on creating a food district. Primarily, this one's not going to be water-based with the hydroponics that these beavers have. This is going to be focused on the food factories. One of the things that I'm going to do is water does come through here. I don't have dirt. I don't have the ability to build blocks yet. And what I thought would be good is I can't plant down there. It becomes really awkward. So anywhere where I can't plant, I'm going to build the district. And it's always difficult when you build a whole district straight away and lay it out and just let them build. This game is a lot easier if you just go along with the flow and kind of build as you go. But one of the things I like to do is just build a whole district and let the beavers build it. So we put the district down, we created this wooden platform around the whole thing, and now we're starting to plan out the housing. It's important that the districts can support itself. Food isn't going to be a problem here because it is the food district. Water will be a problem, so we do need to create pumping stations and water storage. And on the previous episode, we did look at starting to create those large water pumping areas. Going to take a long time to build all this stuff, guys. So I'm just going to keep building these crazy districts, and we're going to keep checking in and hope they don't die on the way there. There's a little bit of management with prioritizing the things as we move backwards and forwards. But now we worked out where the housing was going to go, we're going to start looking at the storage for the factories. And what I like to do is create a large storage, and the large storage at the bottom holds all of the raw things like carrots, aubergines, and all the raw materials coming straight from the farms. And then above that is the processed food. So everything that the food factories are making gets stored in the top layer. And then on top of that layer, we put the food factories and all of the things that need to make the food. And I started going a bit crazy with this. I had way too many. We're going to try doing 6 food factories and the oil presses and the fermentation. And I tried to do it all on top here. And I threw a few layouts out, and I tried to work out where the other factories were going to go, and it just didn't work for me. So I kind of messed around with a few ideas and kind of landed on this, creating this sort of metal scaffold that sticks out to allow us to have 4 of the oil presses. And that all connects up there to the food, and there should be plenty of food processing here to deal with all the food coming off the farms. This area is still a little bit rocky. We're going to get to that in a moment. And part of creating these structures like this, you've always got to find a way to get down. And I always like to make it aesthetically pleasing. And I really do love these spiral staircases. I keep talking about them. I think I didn't even realize it was a thing that the community was asking for until they implemented it. And I'm like, you know what, it just looks so good. Look at that arrangement. We go from the 2 floors up to the food processing factory and down. And it just makes it so much neater being able to do a spiral staircase like that. It just keeps it in. Before the staircases became like an emergency escape stairs you see at a building that you go and visit, where it's up and down and around, and it's very big, it's very cumbersome. And so these spiral staircases, I'm going to start using them more and more and try to do more silly designs with them as we go forward, if I survive, that is. So this is kind of our food processing factory. This is where we have the storage that goes underneath for the raw vegetables, and then the processed vegetables, and the factories on top. Going to need a lot of power, and that power is going to come from our water, of Badwater river back there. And I still haven't built the device that this faction of beavers can use, that even in a drought, the Badwater will still flow. Once that happens, then we will have unlimited 24/7 power, and these food factories won't struggle. They will at the moment, because we've got, I think we have like 100 power before it runs out, which isn't great. We then started to look at the water pumping for this colony, and quite simply, it was a nice solution that we're just going to put holes in our new wooden deck that we've put there and put the water pumping across it, and the water puts go in with that, and we keep pushing that district back. In fact, I just got so frustrated with it, I just thought, I'm just going to put the district right back there where the houses are and let that sit there. And it's because we can't create a district that connects to a path of another district, and I need Pineappleton beavers to start building this, to get it up to a basic level to actually house beavers. And one of the things that I want to start doing is making the welfare of these beavers in this district a priority. They're miserable. I think it's at 4. Their happiness is at 4 right now. That's because they've got no food diversity, which we're fixing with this food farm, and they've got nothing to look forward to. There's no scratches, there's no pools, and I'm gonna start focus on their happiness. But before we can get there, we need to make sure that their needs are met to hold more beavers, and that is food, water, storage, and that's where our mind is at the moment. Now, I think I discussed this before in the previous video, that whenever you make a new district, you have to make sure it has storage for the materials that it needs on its own. That was a horrible way to describe it. So let me say this. If this district hasn't got trees to cut down, which it doesn't, it will need a storage facility for logs within the boundary of the district after the district crossing. Otherwise, the beavers from Pineappleton will not bring logs to it. And the reason I go over this so many times is it took me ages to kind of get around in my head how districts actually worked. And there were many districts which I died on the game because they weren't bringing water, or they weren't bringing food, or they weren't bringing a resource it needed in order to be able to build. So I always create these sort of hubs, and these hubs hold everything that this district is not going to make itself. So like dynamite, extract, metal blocks. That's what this sort of warehouse, transportation, storage yard is all about. And you will always find them on my builds at the beginning of a district crossing. It's just quicker for the haulers to bring those materials to the factories where it needs to go. Now, this is an experiment and design that we were looking at for a long time. Can we irrigate this creator without taking any of the green land? So we created this tunnel, which was the source of the Great Flood on the previous episode. Can we create this tunnel underground that can't be visible from the crater, so we're not taking any water, any area up for crops? So this was me flooding that, and as you can see, you can't see it go around the edge of the crater. Now, while that did that, I had to turn off the reservoir to dry up the crater with the pumps to see if it actually worked. And here we are. So the crater in the middle is dry, but the crops around the edge still have water. So yes, it is a success that you can build it underground next to the tile without it being exposed. We're now concentrating on the beavers' welfare. So we've got medical tents, we're putting in showers, we're starting to try to make them happy being here. We've got some teeth sharpeners in case they break their teeth. And we also start putting in some back scratchers as well. And eventually we're going to have the flying, we're going to have the entertainment, we'll put the theatres in, but we're starting with the real basic stuff. And this is one of the big ones where we wanted to put a swimming pool in. Doesn't fit, but I put some dynamite down there. So when that dynamite gets blown out, we'll be able to allow our beavers to be able to swim. So that food district is really coming together. It's really taking shape. And I'm pretty comfortable now that they can live, they can have water, they can source their own water. And the funny thing about the food district that we haven't done yet is work out where the farms are going to go. Well, we've got some big blocks of land that need to be excavated first to maximize the amount of crops that we can grow in this area. So here we're starting to destroy that and level it, but we can still think about where the farms are going to go on a basic level for the first run. And that comes with just creating a line of farms that go across our area in a straight line. Now, the reason I do it in a straight line is because we need to create irrigation. When the water comes through, it'll only get so far before the land dries out again. So if we create a straight path, we blow out a tunnel and then put the path on top of that tunnel. One, we're not losing any green planting space with awkward paths. And two, we're creating irrigation so the land behind it becomes able to grow crops on. Now, as part of the crops, we're working out what crops we want to plant, and I'm going to do them all. I'm going to do oil, I'm going to do aubergines, I'm going to do anything that can be processed in those food factories. And it's going to take a while because we've got to excavate a lot. We've got a lot to build here. But I'm really happy with the way that this has been planned out. The space is being used pretty well. We've reduced the amount of good land that we've built on, and this is going to be a game changer for the colony where we can actually see if we can get to over 300 beavers. Now remember, the more beavers that we have, the more water gets loosed. And you can see in 45 days right there on that last shot, there's no water left in those reservoirs. So I really think on the next episode, we have to get these beavers focused on water storage. And you can see that on reservoir 1 at the back there. We're going to focus them on that. We're going to get that built. We're going to expand the amount of water storage. And then we're going to focus on the food district. So the next episode might be a bit slow. I say that, but I always end up flooding something. We're going to focus on getting materials, getting beavers, increasing the colony size, and pushing this colony forward to the next level. We're aiming to get bots. We're aiming to get to 1,000 beavers. We're aiming to complete this permadeath run by getting these beavers off to new lands with a new monument. That looks like it's going to be a long run unless they all die. Who knows? I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. So take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.